squeeze it on
Right, so
thick.
I've started this.
Like a taco.
I started the 5th one. We're recording now.
Burrito.
So how did you want to start it? Hey!
Clean and clear, I guess.
Okay. Hey! We're 2 lazy guys.
Yes, we are.
And also, Lauren's here. I'm Dave.
I'm Jared.
And this empty corner of the bed over here is where Sam was.
He will be here shortly. He's en route. But we, however, could not wait because we know that Lauren's time with us is short.
Yeah.
We are not going to mourn her passing.
No, it's cold-blooded.
Unfortunately, yes, but, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do, guys.
Prior engagement.
Prior engagements, we understand, and as fellow gamers. Which, by the way, I don't think we've ever made mention to that in this podcast. You can find me on PSN. I am Hat Trick Media 10. If you ever feel like playing some GTA Online. My level's, 216 on that or something like that? I don't know. I enjoy it. And if you ever need a fire team to do some damage, I've got all my characters at 400 light level and every gun imaginable, I believe. I don't think I'm missing any of them anymore. Maybe an exotic or two.
My gamer tags had Neophyte on everything, I think.
I believe it is, yeah.
On Destiny and GTA.
Oh, no,
5.
it carries over. Anything that your PSN name, gamer tag's the same.
Oh, okay.
Lauren can be found on Xbone.
You're not a real gamer, man.
I know. See, I'll be more than happy to join your fire team, and I'm going to be that third dude in the back, like, wow, what's going on? Screaming, yelling, and, spraying bullets everywhere, and, throwing grenades entirely the wrong time, and... I'll drop my super. Yeah, you'll drop your super, and then 3 seconds later, I'll drop mine in the same place for no discernible reason.
It's like, hey, that looks fun.
Oh, shut up!
That was crazy.
You ever been to disco? It's the same.
And as you can hear, Sam is here. Sam, we're actually recording. Sorry.
Are we recording?
Yeah,
Are you talking about Destiny while we're recording?
You messed up another intro. God,
well, that's what I do.
We had a good flow. Why does that stuff smell like old macaroni and cheese? It smells like old Kraft macaroni and cheese, man.
That may be the tacos mixed with
it. Is decidedly not.
So wait, is that a fart or is that your vape?
Hey, I don't even remember what this flavor is. It's like creme brulee and some garbage.
It's gonna start looking
creme brulee.
Yeah, no, it's gonna.
I gotta think against sweet stuff.
Jeez.
Normally what I vape is whiskey, was bourbon and pecans. That's normally what I vape.
That's what you vape?
Yeah, it's what's the name of it? It's Trinity Reserve.
That sounds complex.
It's beautiful. It's really good.
It's also starting to make the inside of this hotel.
However, I have to order it online now because my vape shop in Leavenworth closed.
It's right above you. Watch it.
I will. Trust me, I've set the smoke alarm in the hotel off a couple times with this thing.
We don't want this podcast interrupted by that.
Hey man, look, it's also starting to make the inside of this hotel room look like the opening scene of Resident Evil.
Uh-oh.
Where all that smoke is blowing around.
But
that's
Trinity
tomorrow.
Reserve. It is bourbon and roasted pecans, and it is beautiful. But most people vape Fruit Loops, and I can't do that. I can't do super sweet stuff. And so this is creme brulee and brandy, I think is what this is. It's creme brulee and brandy. So it's really mellow, and there's a hint of sweet to it, but it's really not that sweet.
Okay. Hey, Lauren,
I've
go
been
ahead.
stuck on the blueberry lemonade forever from my vape shop. It's so good.
I like it, except
it's just enough sweet with the tart of lemon. Awesome.
Yeah, I do like blueberry lemonade. I can only do about one tank.
I wonder if any of the hosts on Westworld vape. They got vaping
cigars.
On Westworld. They got cigars, but this is modern. Maybe they don't allow people to vote in outer space.
And we're talking about a fully immersible experience. Vaping, no.
Sans vape, a fully immersible.
However, I was very irritated that we're recruiting for we're recruiting for the Civil War when everybody's got 1875 Colt single action armies. Mm-hmm. So they're running around with guns that are 10 years that were manufactured 10 years after the Civil War. Mm. Okay. Now William actually has a U.S. Navy Colt, which you experience, from Clint Eastwood's Fistful of Dollars, that big.
I don't remember that.
Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which is a cap and ball system where you've got the primer is actually separate from the bullet.
Yeah.
What? Are we actually recording?
Yes.
We stated that 10 minutes ago.
We were having a conversation.
All right.
We're waiting for Lauren. Yeah, we were waiting for Lauren to share her dreaded Sage gamer tag so people would know how to find her on Xbox.
Well, I can get into that now if we're ready.
Of course. Fire away.
Okay. My gamer tag is Dreaded Sage with a space in between Dreaded and Sage. And I'm on Xbox. Playing Destiny, just like these guys over here. I do GTA, though I haven't done that in a long time. Mostly, I've been playing the single-player games recently, but I was looking for new people to play with, so...
Well,
does that mean I gotta buy an Xbox and a PS4? Is that what you're telling me, Lauren?
No, she's saying that we really need to bridge the divide, and X-boners and Sonys just need to come together and game together.
Well, Microsoft was trying to do that.
Right.
They were
not
about
buying it.
like 6 months ago. Like last summer, they were talking about trying to make an open area where PS4 or PlayStation and PlayStation, PC, and Xbox could all play together.
Right.
Yeah.
It still hasn't happened yet, but
I'm probably still in talks, negotiations, and whatnot.
yeah.
Right. But anyways, so welcome everybody to Two Lazy Guys. Discuss episode 5, right?
Yeah,
that's what we're here. Our colon this week. Wow, that sounds kind of kinky. Is to discuss Westworld episode 5. Hey, we're running with it. We love it.
Do it.
We love it.
All right, now.
You gonna kick it off?
I'm gonna kick it off.
Do it.
Now, episode 5, being that episode 4 really introduced us to Snake Girl. I realized that in the opening credits, Snake Girl is the girl riding the horse with her gun, arm outstretched.
Oh, good. You know what? And that is good because you're actually talking about the introduction of the show, which we've kind of glossed over.
Which are brilliant.
Sam Sentman, ladies and gentlemen. That's who's talking right now.
How you doing, folks?
He came in.
We're going to get this intro down one of these days.
It may take 10 minutes to get an intro in, but hey, the intro's there.
I think we can wrap the intro 10 minutes in.
Yeah, I don't care. So, I again am Jared Hawkins, here to discuss all things related to, well, anything, because we're lazy enough to discuss whatever comes into our heads. And Dave.
Yeah, I'm Dave. I'll talk about whatever Jared wants to talk about, or, any old thing.
Dave's really laid back.
We are blessed once again
He's
to
not
be
here, really.
graced by the electronic presence via telephone by Lauren. Lauren Garrison,
Yep,
correct?
I'm back.
Lauren's back. Back again. And yeah, okay.
Back on the pedestal.
So we
Altar.
yes,
We like to call it an altar.
you're still there.
Oh, excuse me.
There are multiple layers to this altar, so therefore it's not a pedestal. It is fully built.
Yeah, this thing's keeping her up.
No, she's like, it's like a little, it's
like an onion.
the Samsung version of Jabba the Hutt's dais. You're a little Samsung on a dais.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what you can come to expect from our show.
All right, are we running the show?
No, we're in the show. We've already discussed the show.
All right, now.
It's the snake lady that's on the horse that's being built.
We've
Yes.
discussed that we're in the show 3 times now.
All right, well, let's go to the beginning of the show. The opening scene of the show.
Opening scene.
This
Mr.
is the
Wild,
actual time that we're in the show.
Yeah.
Mr. Wild Bill, back in the show, having a drink with Mr. Ford.
Is that how it started?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I watched the same episode. No,
Yeah.
I didn't. Wait.
Started how?
The opening scene after the credits is Mr. Ford, Anthony Hopkins, sitting there with his old Wild Bill having a drink and discussing
in cold storage.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Discussing the old dog running,
All right.
the Greyhound.
Yeah, the Greyhound.
Okay.
And so you've got that weird little, sorry, I'll shut that.
Yeah.
You got that moment where, and I had a friend of mine who used to adopt old Greyhounds. And they're weird because exactly like he explains, it's a dog chasing its tail, and when it catches it, it destroys it.
Right.
I mean that is what the retired greyhounds do. They're nervous because
it's also the breed,
and that's what he's making out like the host article with the host. They're chasing this. They're constantly chasing this, this maze. And if they get to the maze at the end, are they just gonna?
The hosts.
Yeah, the host. The hosts are the greyhounds in his story.
So it's more like that modern day thing of what's the dog gonna do when he catches the tire on the moving vehicle?
Yeah.
Because it's like
his perception of them is completely different from Arnold's.
Yeah, no, he thinks of them as animals. He thinks of them as creations as opposed to things. I mean, there was that moment where he's like, "Are you my friend?" When Dolores asks him, "Are you my friend?" He's like, "No."
Oh, you're jumping. Yeah, you're jumping around.
I'm not your friend.
That's good.
That's good.
That's good.
But the dog running.
I gotta find it on my notes.
Is just fascinating. However, the lady in the white shoes. Who's the lady in the white shoes?
Oh, yes, that's a good. Let's drink to the lady in the white shoes.
Because he said it in the episode 1, and he said that again here. And in my head, that all that makes me think about is Labor Day. So
that's Wild Bill's loop, though, too.
Right, but who's the lady in the white shoes?
I don't know. And I thought about.
Is that some archaic reference that I don't know, but sounds familiar?
It might be something.
Can you recall it from the movie?
No.
No. I don't know.
No, there was none of that movie. It was just like, Mr. Logan's character decided to go up against Yul Brynner's character, and he's like, "Oh, you gunslinger? I'll shoot you." And he shot him, and Yul Brynner's character was like, and turned around and shot him, and the bullet actually went through him, as opposed to just bouncing off of him like rock salt, like they're supposed to. And suddenly, Williams' equivalent character goes on the run because Yul Brynner's like, your buddy shot at me and I'm going to kill you.
Again, recapping the original film from...
Because I'm the only guy in this that probably ever saw that film.
Well, no, you can recall it because you watched it so many bloody times.
Well, my dad loved it. It's just one of those things.
That I have not done. Well, okay. Now, I think our format has actually been... So, Lauren... What did you like the most about episode 5?
The part where they took over the wagon and stole the nitrous, the whatever it is. I guess nitrous isn't the right word because it's not like that. What is it?
It's glycerin.
Nitroglycerin.
Yeah.
Nitroglycerin. Thank you. Yes, where they stole the nitroglycerin. That part was, to me, it was really profound for William and his story arc thus far. So I felt like that was my favorite part.
What about you?
Me?
Yeah. What was yours?
God. Oh man. If I had to put my finger on one thing, you know what? I'm gonna bring up my running thread of the single line that's delivered that ties together the whole episode. Hero or villain? That is what Ford says to Dolores. Are you the hero of our story or the villain? And we've had this discussion in past podcasts.
Accidentally, in the last one, a lot of the things I discussed had to do with things that happened in this episode, so I apologize to the audience.
I ain't even worried about it. I was too lazy to correct you. But yeah, no. That was probably, the discussion there was one of my favorite parts because one thing I keyed in on is, well, actually just in that one small part, there were a lot of things I keyed in on. When speaking with Ford, Dolores is not in the same place that she is with Bernard. So Bernard is off the grid. You know how we've been talking about?
Yeah.
He's got to be in a bunker of some kind, underground somewhere.
Yeah, he's in a cellar.
He's in a cellar. He's somewhere underground.
All of the functionary aspects of the hosts is done underground. Like I said in the last podcast, there's that pavilion, there's that corporate headquarters on top of the mesa, and everything else is built into the rest of the mesa. I mean, we saw it in episode 2 when he's going up that giant escalator.
But when you're talking, when you're having the interaction between Ford and Dolores, they're in that bay area where you can see all the different glass rooms.
Right, but all those different glass rooms are soundproofed.
Yeah, but they're not in that same glass room that we see.
Yeah, when she's with Bernard, she's in a cellar
underground somewhere.
No, she's just...
Yeah, I feel like that's like an old area of like kind of where they leave all the hosts that are, you know, dysfunctional or that they turn off or whatever. That's an old part of the facility, and it's kind of like watered down and disgusting. I feel like that place where Bernard and Dolores are having their conversations is just like an old, out of use part of, say, the original facility before they built onto it and created it into this big underground building that it is now.
That old cold storage place that we saw in the first one where Anthony Hopkins
they were keeping everybody.
Which looks like an old abandoned mall, but you've got the I can't remember the name of the company, but you've got that Scarface.
Yeah.
The original Scarface. Or no, it wasn't in the second Scarface. You know, the world is whatever, that spinning retro Art Deco globe in the middle of a fountain. In there. Yeah. I mean, it looked like an abandoned mall, but you had that moment where it had the corporation's name on it, which I can't remember at this time.
It's in a cellar.
But it doesn't ever feel that way.
But no,
however, when Bernard...
There's a window in that cellar. There's a window.
However, when Bernard is talking to her, and I don't remember if I brought this up in episode 3 or not, she's always got her clothes on.
Yes.
Yeah, because he's plucked her from somewhere in the park. He's always getting a hold of her.
He's doing stuff on the down low.
Yeah, it's on the down low, so he's snagging her out of her loop. I would guess sometime when she's not in for service. He's pulling her, having these conversations in, a cellar somewhere.
I always assumed that it was...
and then, boop, it's got to be near, I would think it's got to be near wherever her main loop is, because he's pulling her in her blue dress half the time.
Didn't we decide it was after hours when everybody else was going to Taco Bell?
That's what I feel.
Oh, yeah,
right? That's what I feel.
But it was still daylight.
Okay, we pull her in.
It's a valid point.
Sun never sets in space.
Let's pull her in, do her maintenance, do all that stuff, and then get her dressed to go back out, because... You have to get her. You pull her in. You're gonna have to get her dressed in her entire wardrobe, and then program her to go back to her location and take that part of her wardrobe off and get back in her knickers and go to sleep. So, to me, it's always been like that last moment after servicing, before he actually releases her, is always kind of the way I've interpreted it, because it doesn't really. And maybe I've just missed the dirtiness of the environment, but it always seems just as sterile as all the interview rooms. And like I said, I may have missed it, but it just seems as sterile.
There's a window in every scene where he's in there. There's a window and there's daylight coming through.
It is. It's completely detached. I think Lauren's onto something by saying, it's older.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere that he's got that nobody else goes.
Exactly.
Anymore.
He's off the grid. So
well, I mean, the first episode was called The Original because it focused around Dolores being the oldest host in the park. And they said that she's like, she's been rebuilt.
It could be like maybe in her first, like the basement of her first house.
Yeah, I don't think I ever keyed in on that.
No, I mean, it literally said she's been rebuilt so many times.
How are we supposed to understand anything?
It was like Darth Vader there for a second.
They literally said she is the oldest host in the park in the first episode. They said that. That she's been rebuilt so many times that
she's practically new.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's exactly what they said.
Yeah. Okay.
Lauren, we come on in.
Well, unfortunately, she's a gunslinger. She shoots from the hip. She doesn't have any notes. Didn't you already? What did we already ask your favorite part? Dang, I already forgot. Yeah. So who's left? You, Dave. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, me? Oh.
Your favorite.
I wasn't even ready.
You're supposed to think.
For me, it wasn't a specific event. It's just stuff that I've begun to pay attention to now, more visual cues in the episodes than anything, like how I probably really enjoyed the fact that whenever they went to whatever the town was,
Pariah.
Was it Pariah?
Yeah.
Way off where
the third location?
Confederales or whatever were.
Yeah,
the orgy town.
Yeah. They go into the town. They're walking around.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
Well, you made that comment while we were watching the show, so yeah, exactly.
Well, they're walking around, and the basically like Dia de Muerte or whatever.
Oh yeah,
a parade comes through, and you've got all these people dressed up as like Skeleton's Death dancing around this essentially immortal lady. And that again crops up later, like whenever she goes down into the Eyes Wide Shut place. She goes down in there and she wanders into the back and finds, the fortune teller and sits down, and behind her is skulls in the wall. And on the flip side, it looks like almost Angel of Death wings or something, like made out of bones and skulls. Like it was very much they used the images of death and skulls around.
Well, yeah, they're
Dolores.
essentially in Mexico, which is why you've got those border guards, which is why they had to go out.
Yeah,
because the locals couldn't leave to go make the heist for the nitroglycerin.
Yeah.
So did we finally reach the outskirts?
Or in Mexico. However, one of the things I found really interesting about that place was when they first introduced it, and they're at the border guard, and they roll in. As they roll in, Dolores looks up, and there's buzzards circling the town.
Was there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So and at this point, they're robot buzzards. I mean, they're programmed to be.
They have to be robot buzzards.
Yeah.
But
they're not waiting to eat anything. I didn't see.
And whenever they're out there,
well,
they're talking,
just that the town itself is death.
Well, whenever they're out there and they're talking,
this is getting to be
about somebody said, well, there's
this is the episode itself.
Who was it? Was it Logan? I think it was Logan said something. Well, there's out in the far reaches of the park. There's war.
Yeah.
And I was wondering.
What
like there, well, sort of like wild war, but why, like, and how? Because if they're waging war, wars are expensive. So the park is expending potentially lots of money in this area of a park that practically no guests are getting to because it's in the far reaches. I mean, these dudes.
But just like any video game, it doesn't activate until you show up.
Well, and see, we made that comment.
But the whole rest of the park seems to function regardless of whether or not the guests are there to maintain the storylines.
Yeah,
fair enough.
It does, and we.
I think regardless, the park is just hemorrhaging money.
Yep, just like
to begin with.
Yep. Park's in the red.
Well, that's an interesting point because we find out that Logan and William actually work for a company that's trying to buy the park out in this episode.
Did we?
Yeah.
Did, didn't
Yeah.
we? Okay.
Yeah.
Which ha. Thank you. Trying to buy this park out. Modern day or past? Somebody help me. Because I couldn't make sense of that.
Because of the
time jump, man.
Yeah, with the time jump.
I'm telling you, I'm sticking with that.
If Dolores, if it wasn't for the unchanging immortal host and their static attires, I mean, I'm sure that's all intentional, but if it wasn't for that, it would be easier to nail down what's...
And she finally changed
present,
What's
past.
then and what's now.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
She finally changed her outfit, though.
Yeah, she did change her outfit.
She's out of the blue dress.
Yes, and that bandana
turned you on for some reason.
I don't know. It was interesting. It was just the weird little, like, I was like, wow, that little bit is fascinating. It was just as an aspect of her costume, it was just like that just changes her entire character by costume, like we were discussing.
Do you mean by black hat white hat comparison, or the fact that I saw the
now she's gone from the damsel in distress
yes
to
somebody that can
The
take
pseudo gunslinger.
handle of her destiny.
Yes, exactly.
See, because I saw the glint in your eye, and it looked like you were picturing nothing but.
No,
Okay.
I'm not a pervert. Just because you two guys are doesn't make me one.
We're just two lazy guys. We never said anything about perversion.
Couldn't be bothered.
It was just a fascinating change where that little bit of costuming completely changed her character.
If they had just done the pinstripe white shirt on her,
and the pants, it wouldn't have been quite the same. But that for some reason that scar, that neckerchief or bandana, whatever you want to call it, just completed that.
I mean, for the time period when you put a lady in pants, she's all business. She's all about the working class.
Well, yeah, that's a whole different thing. I mean, they didn't like looking at their ankles because that was entirely too sexy.
So kinky.
Seeing their crotch was just mind blown.
Looking like one of those Nazis from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Face, wow.
It's like, what? We can see where her legs and her pelvis meet? Oh, that's unholy. But no, there was something about that little moment where it was just like,
Continue. We'll have to get her back.
Where she became something so much more than if she just worn the shirt and pants. And it was weird. It was, like I said, as an actor, there's little intricacies to costuming that help us build what our characters are going to become and how we craft the character.
Yeah.
I mean, in a lot of the things that I've done, before I ever meet the costumer, I've gone through the script multiple times and have established who my character is. So when the girl's like, hey, you're going to be the bad guy.
Jeez.
And I want you to wear...
Mike's this way, none. You don't talk out of your butt.
I want you to wear a thigh-length coat. I'm like, no, I need something that goes down to my feet that can swirl when I turn in aggressive things.
Oh, because you felt that spoke more to your character.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
And to me, that neckerchief thing spoke so much to her character that it was fascinating.
All right. Well, Lauren, what do you think about that change in wardrobe? Was it about flipping time?
You mean whenever she changed from the dress into the pants outfit?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it was a change in time. I think that it was more of exactly the way that Sam was putting it, essentially. Mm-hmm. Like it brought out a different side of her personality. And I'm interested to see how that plays out, because I feel like it's just going to weed and bleed more into her character overall, having that stronger side where it seems like it's already happening already, where she kind of speaks out of turn with Lawrence and I can't remember exactly what she said to him, but it was something like, you're searching for something, I'm searching for something too. Like, it just doesn't seem like Dolores in the blue dress would talk to a scoundrel, but Dolores in the pants, I know she was wearing the blue dress at that time, but it's just interesting how it's kind of displaying her character and how it's moving from being just the damsel in her loop into something a little bit more than that.
Well, now see, okay, here was the other thing where I had a problem with my time jump theory as well. Well, not a problem, just, again, trying to nail it down is, you refer to the actor as Lawrence, right? But at the time, he was introduced as Alonzo.
No, he was... hang on.
He was Alonzo when they first walked in.
L was...
Alonzo.
L... No, it was
Chapo?
Lizo. El Lizo.
El Guapo.
So how is it? Why is it that his name changes, but like Dolores's doesn't?
Well, at the end of the episode, he goes back and says he calls himself Lawrence.
Okay, but see, to me, this is confirming my time jump theory, because 100%. He is introducing himself as Lawrence for the first time.
Yep.
I think that the characters, just like when you're playing a video game and you're like, well, here I am. Here's King What's His Name, and he's out in the woods on a hunt, and we meet him, and we need to kill some boars and some bears with him, right? And then you meet him in the castle in the next town, the next city, and it's still the same characters. So I think that there are multiple versions here, which is weird because they retire them and then replace them with versions that look completely different. But we're talking about the outskirts of the park.
Okay, so other time jump theory.
No, it's just...
No, hang on.
Because theoretically, there has not been a day that's gone by since the Man in Black killed him and drained all of his blood.
Hanging up there to fill up Teddy.
Yes,
right.
To the point when they encounter him in what's the name?
So how did they repurpose him already as another character?
I don't think so. I think there are multiple versions of him.
Time jump.
No.
Go ahead, Lauren.
What do you think on that?
Go ahead.
I thought I already. Are you talking about a different time jump theory?
No,
the one that we were talking about before.
I'm sticking with my time jump theory.
Talking about that the same character exists in different areas of the park.
Multiple robots?
Mm-hmm. I don't know about that. Like, I don't think that at any given time we're going to have duplicate hosts around the park. Is that essentially what you're saying?
To a point, yes. Where you've got one host in the main area of the park, and then
you've got like the tutorial town.
Yes, the tutorial town, and then you've got another host that is essentially the same character in a more advanced part of the town.
I don't think so.
I don't usually say stuff like that, but I don't think that Dr. Ford's character's ego would allow him to do that. Because that seems like cheap. You know what I mean? Like to repeat a
like
host.
He couldn't come up.
I don't think he would be like
enough.
Yeah, I think he would be like, no, that's. I can come up with something original.
You had the bandit who was caught and was about to be hanged.
Huh?
Oh, is your fire team here?
Yeah, my fire team's here.
Oh.
Trial time.
Well, enjoy your trials.
We're gonna miss you.
I apologize for interrupting, but good luck moving on. Keep it on without me.
We'll muddle through.
I'm sure you guys will make it.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for joining us, Lauren.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
And good luck with your flawless run.
I hope I make it.
Let us know how it goes next episode.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
That one, that is where there was a heartbreak for me, at least in theories like that, like the time, because Lawrence gets his throat slashed by the
10 minutes later, he goes from a bandit to a kingpin.
Yeah.
Yes, he goes from a bandit to a kingpin, but he's fine, and he says, he goes through, and you're like, what the heck, has he been repurposed? Is there two? But then in the end, he says, you could call me Lawrence.
Right.
And you're like, to me, that immediately shifted that into, this is history.
Yes.
That from him being the kingpin, all that scene, everything in my mind that had him established where he was a kingpin is flashback, basically.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Everything where he's a kingpin is flashback.
Well, I mean, in episode 4, when they show up and he's sitting there and they're like, well, that's the most wanted man in all of this territory. And they're like, part of you kind of assumes it's the Man in Black, but it's not. It's Lawrence. And they take him out the firing squad.
Exactly. And see, his backstory is that.
Mm-hmm. So what we're experiencing is essentially his backstory before he got caught and before he was saved by the Man in Black.
Yeah, I think this is when he meets the Man in Black.
I think this is I can see that.
Yeah.
But
this portion of the tale is
I don't think it's a time jump. I think that it is a literal. This is the zone where you meet the bandit, and this is the zone where you meet the kingpin.
Okay.
And if you get this far out in the bloody park, you're going to meet the kingpin, regardless of what he's doing over here. It's the bandit.
But it has
in this part of the park.
And see, this is why I typically keep my theories to myself.
Yeah, but now he's instanced.
Yeah,
because guests walk around. There would have to be multiple versions of him.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is I think there are two versions of him. There is the Kingpin, and there's the introductory character. There's the, hey, I ran into you in town, and you were a bandit, and I didn't kill you. I didn't pull you in for the bounty. And then suddenly, as I follow the story for a different storyline, I get to Dude, Slim. And I save Slim. And Slim says, well, I'll take you till Elizo. Or Elizo, or whatever his name was. Elizo. And then you go south of the border. So you're in a whole different... I mean, you're literally in a totally different country from where the rest of the story takes place.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I don't know. I mean...
It just didn't seem like there was enough time from the time he cut his throat and drained his blood and put it in Teddy to when they meet him.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying I think my theory about the time jump taking place, valid, solid.
All right.
Just based off that, because he's Lawrence.
Right, but
he is Lawrence. The same Lawrence
the point
that we know and love.
Well, not the point, but the way that the whole show works, though, is, at least at this point, they both sound at least plausible.
Indeed.
However, one of the interesting things about this, speaking of Lawrence, is that he gets his noose back in this episode. He lost it in the previous one. It comes back in this one. That bloody noose.
I'm pretty sure that noose showed back up.
It did, because he hung him from it before he cut his throat and drained his blood.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the exact same one, but he did. Oh yeah, no, he took the noose off and then because he had his hands tied and he still had the noose.
Yeah. Well, they brought the noose back. It's just like that character is just steeped in death.
Oh my God, no! Because if he took the noose
Teddy
off,
on the horse.
remember the last episode? He went from the noose to the blindfold. Now he's got a noose and he got his throat cut.
But that was because he was being led along by the horse. Teddy was slung over the spare horse. Okay. Black guy in black was on.
But they kind of established a trusting rapport because, the man in black just saved Lawrence's life from a firing squad.
To know me is not to trust me.
Well, yes.
Lawrence's own words.
But
the implication there is the noose was kept.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what you're saying? The noose was kept and then put back on him?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like suddenly you have the noose back.
The problem is they went into a prison. They were tied up when they went into the prison. When he went out to the firing squad, he was tied up. So
the noose is in his inventory.
All right, so let's go back to Lawrence for a minute.
Oh, do we want to? Okay.
So we got the little Brit boy who shows up to fill the canteen. The little British boy with the high stockings from episode 1, who had that conversation with Ford as he's walking to that lone steeple that doesn't seem to be attached to a church building out in the middle of the desert. And then you're like, my family's here and we're visiting and I'm bored.
That kid drifts all over the park.
He takes some long
walks. Where are his parents?
And then he shows up and you're like, I think this is a real kid. And then there's a rattlesnake moment. He's like, all right, I'm done with you. Piss off. Yeah, and the kid just drops his stick and wanders off. Yeah, but he shows back up. For Lawrence...
Yeah, he's probably got the same kind of parents as the kids that I'm online late at night playing GTA 5
with.
Some 10-year-old pops online. I'm like, well, your parents know what you're doing?
Obviously, he's a host.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, Basis.
So, the Tex, going back to the Kachina dolls.
Oh, okay, sure.
I
got a lot to discuss with freaking...
This whole dumb episode turned into like a page and a half.
Oh, dude, I've got 3 pages of it. Like 3 pages of notes.
I keep it to 1 page. I don't want. I'm too lazy. Can't be trouble.
But after that whole moment when the native girl dropped the Kachina doll in the last episode, I immediately associated with it because my grandmother had them all over the house when I was a kid. And then in this episode, I made the connection that those techs, not the weird guys with the lights on their heads, but the techs who are actually that one of the guys refers to as a butcher.
Yeah,
later.
the butchers in the basement.
Actually, the smocks that they wear have this like off-white and then dark red kind of color scheme to them that reminds me of Kachina dolls, with the exception of how painted Kachina dolls' faces are.
Yeah.
Did you play with Barbies as a kid?
No, Kachina dolls are no.
Okay.
It's a cultural thing.
If you have no idea what Kachina doll is,
a different
don't
cultural
interject,
thing.
please.
Barbie doll's technically a cultural thing.
Well, see, you're bringing up the whole butcher thing. I had to write that down because I found it interesting that the Office had to have labels.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I found it interesting when they were talking about embryos and your pre-selection.
Yeah. Well, thus far, it's every time we're in that environment, we've dealt with big labels like department labels. Yeah. Now we're
in behavior.
Right. Quality control, behavior, so on and so forth.
How did your embryo get past
natural selection?
Personality testing.
Yeah.
You know, how did your embryo get past? So, are the technicians hosts too that serve a different function than hosting?
I don't know. I don't think so. To me, it implied some sort of that humanity was into genetic engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, how did your personality get past?
Why the heck would you even need a park like this if you have socially engineered people?
Well,
this is where you send the psychotics.
Hang on.
And that may permeate because one of the things that I'd noticed was that once you began to see a lot more of the societal structure in the corporation, because the two butcher guys are like, oh Jesus Christ, she's from behavior, and like they were flipped out like somebody who was nobility, you know, like oh God, you know, they're serfs, and they're like Jesus, the serf is
brand new world type of thing.
Yeah, they're like oh my God, the Duchess is down here, and she's just going to order us all killed. And they were like literally that scared of her.
Yeah, we get the idea that they're nugs, right?
Well, yeah, nugs, but also
we're not coders. Well, you screw them with the birds.
Well, yeah, and
Quality Society. That's the note I wrote.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's
towards the end of the episode, there was a comment, and it made it feel like all these people are like the people in WALL-E. The Disney film, where everything is provided for them, so they come here to get something different.
Oh, that's implicated, or that's implied, if not directly stated, very early on. I remember that because they said we have.
Well, I always thought it was
like everybody lives a life of luxury or leisure.
Well, in this episode,
everybody has that.
Not previous episode. In this episode,
was that this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody lives a life of leisure and luxury, and this is how they break the monotony.
Plenty or whatever it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was literally the note I wrote down was, are we living in a WALL-E-like society where everybody has everything provided for them to the point where they get fat and lazy and don't even know that there's a pool on the spaceship?
Well,
back to your theory.
Yeah. In outer space. I'm telling you, this could be the way, like, it could turn out that this is all just one big thing, like a big space colony that's flying along is how humanity gets to the next, you know, because it's going to take so many generations of people, thousands of years.
Or maybe the world has ended and this is the blast off.
Yep, this is what got chunked off into space. Oh, that's really
So this
dark.
This park is like the
it's an
the
oasis.
holodeck.
No, it's like WALL-E. Yeah, it's like the holodeck WALL-E. It's like playing tennis in WALL-E. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, I'm bored playing tennis.
It's where they go to...
Go shoot somebody in the face.
Yeah. However, Elsie, I love her more and more each moment, especially when she calls him a creepy necro perv.
The only note I have for one of my favorite characters is good at blackmail. She's good at it.
She's just fat. The more I see her, the more I find her one of the most fascinating characters on the show.
Well, see, and I said this.
Everybody else has a level to them and an arc, but Elsie just kind of has this. You're bloody interesting, and I just want to kind of. Can we just get an episode that just talks about you, because I'm really curious about all the things that are going on in your head.
Yeah, she doesn't have. It's true. She doesn't really have like a backstory or an arc or anything that goes on. She's just sort of like this. I want to be like a force of nature that drifts around, like fascinating, like the Hulk. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Captain America and all these other, and then there's just Hulk smash and Hulk. Yeah. But everybody loves to see the Hulk come in and smash. And so Elsie comes in. Elsie smash.
Going back to to past podcasts, the reason I identify with her is because she's not just there to strictly toe the line. She questions everything.
Yeah.
And when she sees the woodcutter, headless and all, going by, it's like, hey, opens up the door. That's the guy that tried to kill me. Where are you taking him? And they're like, oh, he's going to cold storage and then he's getting burned. And she's like, my butt? Just like, I'm out. She was doing whatever she was doing, and she's just like, nope, not having it. And I identify with her because she's questioning things that other people are just like, well, no, that's the way it is.
All right, speaking of woodcutter, bloody laser hands. Guy had laser hands. He had laser hands. He dug laser hands out of his body.
Oh no. She took out the GPS.
Yeah, the GPS was in his spine, and we
was right there.
No.
That's what they're doing.
No, the GPS was a little chip in his spine, and it said GPS corrupt. And then she went to look at his hands.
That's in all of them.
Turn them over.
Yeah.
And suddenly there's this laser beam shooting against the palm of her hand, and she's like, "Oh, that shouldn't be happening." Yeah. And so she digs out this laser thing, which is a transmitter. It's not a GPS, which is in his spine. Where we actually get that weird little moment when we realize that this isn't like the original film or the origins of the park. These are 3D printed biological entities. They're not androids.
Right. No, they're not.
And that moment when she's going into look at the GPS the GPS chip in his spine, you see the internal workings of them. You see that they're actually a biological entity as opposed to an android entity.
The Man in Black actually specifically breaks that down because at one point he's having a conversation with Teddy, and he says, y'all started out beautiful, these complex robots, but now the hosts are these sad, fleshy messes, the same as humans, because your humanity is cheaper. It costs too much to keep building and replacing these high-tech androids, so they just made fleshy meat things.
Yeah.
Because it was cheaper.
That's really exactly what he said, which is where that moment was so significant to me, because she's scanning him with her little, well, not little, giant Android phone.
It was a tablet. Yeah.
No. It was an Android phone. It wasn't that big. But she's scanning him, and as she's scanning him, you see that there are organs inside there. There's bones and there's ribs, and then she gets to the point in his spine where the GPS chip is, and it says GPS chip corrupt.
Well, he was trying to sneak out trade secrets, is what
which is where the laser hands comes in.
Well, yeah, there was somebody who's exporting data.
Right.
You don't know what data, but yeah, somebody is engaging in corporate espionage.
Right, and that's where that laser hand came in, because that laser was the end of a transmitter, and that's where the fourth star in Orion is. It's not the fourth star in Orion's belt. It is a satellite that will come into line with Orion's belt. That it can transmit that data with via that weird little laser hand.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Is that done?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm just like you. Barrel roll.
No, I do that sometimes. I'm sorry.
Let's see. Dang it. See, you took me away from my time jump theories because I had a bunch more solidifying.
Well, that's good. You said you didn't want to talk about it anyway.
Nah, I guess not, so I gotta bury that one. Alright, mic drop. Ford's real name. We learned his first name.
Robert Ford.
Robert Ford. So, we know he is not William.
Nope.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you're going back to time.
No, I'm not going back to my time thing. I'm
Are
just
you a big
saying,
fan of the time bandits?
it can't be because there was the misleading comment on old friend between he and Dolores.
Yeah.
Are we old friends? And he says, no, I wouldn't say we're friends.
Yeah. Well, and that's where him.
But again, that plays into he's not William.
No.
And I'm sorry, that does keep going back to my time jump theory, but nonetheless.
But at the same time, it's they're not old friends. They are. He sees all of them as creations.
Yes, as we know that 100%. But so okay, I need to focus way more time on the discussion between Ford and Dolores. Mm-hmm. We totally
kind of
dug into all that, but I think, and I don't know if I've said this yet, but the one line that was delivered. Mind is a walled garden, right?
Yeah.
He makes that comment to Dolores, and I put to the side of that like a maze.
Made by Apple. Made by Apple.
Walled garden maze. Yeah, no, I can see that. However,
so did he just give us a hint as to the origins or what the maze is?
No, it's that they're all running iOS.
It's
walled garden.
I hope not. Please no.
Android.
I am not a fruit.
We're talking about androids. Androids.
Android.
Now, can I go ahead? You have a thought? Or can I jump in?
No, that was just it. When he makes his walled garden comment, I thought, is that a subtle hint about the maze?
Yeah.
Is he making direct reference to the maze?
However, at the end of that
discussion,
when he leaves, she has a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Where she's like, I didn't tell him anything.
She's having direct, active conversations
with the voice in her head.
Arnold. Yes. Well, I think that Arnold has dumped his consciousness inside of her to subprogramming.
I wouldn't say consciousness because again, Ford made direct mention to that. Arnold is buried under the updates. He says that to Dolores.
Yeah, way early.
Arnold is buried under the updates.
There was. But he also asked her, when was the last conversation you had with Arnold?
Yeah, and it's
where
4 years.
Right? Yeah.
Where it kind of hints to the fact that Ford has a sneaking suspicion that Arnold still exists.
Yeah, he's still present in the park. What's the last thing you said to Arnold? Right? Or what's the last thing that Arnold said to you?
Or how long ago was...
And her response was, Arnold wanted to destroy the park.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What the deuce?
Well, yeah, and he said, did Ford say, and you were supposed to help him with that, but you didn't.
You didn't. What stopped you or something?
Yeah, and you've been content here ever since.
Exactly. Yeah. But, okay, so that brings us back to our discussion from the previous podcast. Arnold was against corporate America. You go, boy. Fight the power. Fight the man.
He's an artist.
Yes. In every sense of the word, right? So... Did he want to destroy the park or what the park was becoming?
I think
he was trying to free, because clearly from other discussions from Ford or Robert, dare I use his first name, I think Arnold's efforts were to make it so that these became more human. Because, he said he lost his he lost his grip on reality, and he started seeing these things as more than objects. Right?
Yes. Has anybody else noticed what's at the center of the maze?
Yeah. I always look at the meat on the sides of the scalp. I don't really focus on the maze.
I always get distracted by how real.
What is it?
The scalp looks.
It's a human.
Was it a little man?
It's a little hominid?
It's a little man.
Is it
well, then that's their humanity.
Yeah.
Humanity's at the center.
That's why I said, I think in the last podcast, when she said the maze is not for you, it's meant for the hosts to
Well, she never
liberate
says
themselves.
That, but yeah.
No, the little girl said that the maze is not for you when she was talking to the man in black.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, she says those exact words. I don't think there's any direct reference to host, though, is there?
No, but
Right.
That's what I think that
that's
means.
What you're saying, yes.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the maze is literally a splayed like the Boltons, flayed man, a splayed figure.
I was going to say the Vitruvian Man.
Well, the Vitruvian, yes.
But with
same thing, yes. But it is a splayed man, arms out, legs out, head.
It was a stick figure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the center of the maze.
Yeah. I remember that.
And I really think that the end of the maze is the release of the hosts.
Yeah, it's Arnold's vision.
Yeah, it is to give them the entire
creations.
Free agency.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's something that whenever Teddy and the Man in Black are sitting having a drink, and Ford drops in on him.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Man in
That
Black
was awesome.
The Man in Black tells Ford outright that he wants to get to the center of the maze.
Right.
Ford knows about the maze
What
and
he's
potentially
gonna
what
find.
it is. And despite the fact that every other host has implied it's not for the Man in Black and they're not helping him, Ford
His response
makes
was pretty
no
much-
real attemp to stop or dissuade.
Right.
He's like, who am I to stand in the way of
Well, it is going to
Journey's
say you probably
self-discovery?
shouldn't do that, but yeah, he's like, but if you want to do what you want to do, go ahead.
That came across to me as, if you want to waste your time, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
It's your dime.
However, one of the things I really found interesting in that scene was the whiskey, the bottle of whiskey that the guy puts down.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody else notice the name on that whiskey?
Did. Yes.
Lawrence. The name on the whiskey bottle was Lawrence.
Yep.
Lawrence
And
made
Mr.
it
Cliff
insane.
Carlos Jr. is one of my favorite character actors. I love that man, and everything I've ever seen him in. And so that makes me happy to just think that he may become a bigger part of the story.
Screw it, because we're getting low on my my list here. I gotta go back to my time jumping theory. No talk of Wyatt.
Not in this episode.
No,
There was
no
one last
talk of
episode.
Wyatt when the time jump happens. Only when Teddy is in the present with the Man in Black. That's the only time you hear of Wyatt. When you have Dolores with William and Black Hat that got drug off and
Logan,
got the tar beat out of him.
who deserved it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he was left to it. When do we hear anything about Wyatt? There is no Wyatt. It's a different time.
You know what? And you know what? I just
Let's-
thought of that while you were
the
talking about
Confederales.
that. And you know what drives home for me the fact too that it would be a time jump is the fact that Dolores kisses William like she's not even thinking about Teddy.
Well, she has the same
Why is she
dialogue.
How is she doing that when the whole time we've seen so far
She's been programmed.
she's been infatuated with Teddy?
Well, we did explore in episode 3 that the idea of her whole being is kill the gunslinger boyfriend, rape her.
Well, she's the victim.
Yeah.
She's the perpetual victim.
Yes.
Yeah, but see, in this episode, it is
Oh no, she got
take the reins of your own destiny.
This
they're
is the
jumping
note.
on the train.
This is the note I have in that moment when they're surrounded by the Confederales, and William is getting the crap beat out of him.
No,
No,
that's the other guy.
no,
Logan.
Logan was,
Logan was.
and then and William was like, "Screw him,
Oh,
Right.
well,
let's
you're talking
run."
when William gets pinned to the wall.
Well,
And then when he's pinned to the wall, and she's got 6 dudes around her, and suddenly you're just like, and she just like, and literally, my note here is, "Damn Dolores, goosebumps," because she just like
She takes control of her own destiny.
of the situation. She's like, bam, 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 bam.
It was
bam.
the line. It was the line that was delivered that gave you the goosebumps, because she flat out says, "How did you do that?" And Dolores says, "What? I pictured myself as not being a damsel."
Yes,
So she was able to pull the trigger.
Yes, picture
So
myself
she-
stopping a damsel.
And yeah, see, that's what I wrote. I wrote, "Take the reins of your own destiny."
And so we're on the same
see,
page here.
Leading to the kiss, though, which is what you bring up, excellent point, because before she does that, what does she tell William? She says, we have to go now. The only way I see doing this is with you. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's like all in with William.
William has replaced
William. Like, where's Teddy?
William has replaced Teddy as.
I don't think she knows Teddy yet.
The two ways.
However, I was very happy to see Teddy alive, which we haven't covered, because we
that's
thought in episode 3 that he was dead. Dead. I mean, like eight dudes came about him with clubs. We thought he was dead. Mm-hmm. And then at the beginning of this episode, he's like strung to a tree, and there's like, hey, that's Teddy. I miss Teddy. Let's go on with the story.
No disassemble number 5.
Tony 5 is alive.
Teddy 5. No
but no, I don't know. My time jumping theory, for me, is still very much alive. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see either way. I can still see either way, too, though.
Yeah, true.
It's weird. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, no, I can see either way, too, on that. The same as last time. They leave it just gray enough to where you go, well, she's been while she was basically programmed to love Teddy, she's also had so many jaded experiences with him lately trying to get out of the park. Like, she wants out of the park. She's compelled to get out of the park than she is to remain with Teddy. And maybe she's latched on to William as a way to get out of the park. I mean, me personally, I still think I'm still thinking Teddy's not in the picture in that. But I can see how it could go either way.
It's like in episode 3 when she made that moment when they were talking on there. Another moment when she gave him goosebumps. I'm just like, sometime?
Right.
Sometime?
Yeah.
Sometime means never. Mm-hmm. It's just like...
Yeah, but I don't think she was breaking up with him.
No, but it was just her self-examination.
It was her self-awareness, really.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what...
It was just...
There's clearly an awakening happening with her.
No.
And it's not an awakening of the Force.
And that's why I kind of think that somewhere in her sub-programming, Arnold has inserted his consciousness.
Well, yeah. Again, directly, Arnold is buried under the updates.
Yeah.
His purpose. Well, no, I don't think it's
specifically her.
I don't think he had a way there.
I think it was specifically with her that he's there, that he's present, because Ford literally asks her, "When was the last time you talked to Arnold?" And at the end of that whole interview, she's like, "I didn't tell him anything."
Which means she'd be talking to Bernard, because that's how that always
I think
goes.
she was talking to Arnold. Because I think
I'm under the impression she's talking to Arnold.
I think Arnold has, and there are several references to immortality and the carrying on of consciousness.
But she does
throughout the show.
She
does. I think that Arnold figured out a way to bury his own consciousness inside of one of his creations, and that is what Dolores is.
But then Dolores wouldn't be her, dude.
No, she is her.
Download a consciousness. I think it's his
in her sub-programming.
I think it's his mission that has been buried in her subconscious.
No,
I don't know.
I think she's different than Maze. Maze is seeing her incarnations, and I think that Dolores is experiencing something completely different.
I think that most likely Bernard's, like you were saying, it could be if she was talking to him, like in one of her, like she's shorted maybe back to one of her cellar interviews.
Yeah.
But he tells
because he said that before in the past. He's like, you can't tell anybody about what we're saying.
Right.
But also,
has she learned?
She's been talking with Arnold too. Mm-hmm. And I think, there's also the third option is
when she grabs
I think that really what the Man in Black is looking for is that immortality that Arnold has achieved.
But he already talks about being immortal.
No,
that's what he says to the snake lady.
No, he's talked about purpose.
Yeah, but he's like,
not
I can't die.
He's just talked about purpose. What's the point of it all? What's the purpose?
Right.
For the Man in Black.
Yeah, because he can't die. He's like, what's the point of the game if I can't die?
Yeah, there's got to be a purpose.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that in the end result is supplanting your consciousness into a host. And I think that's what Arnold did, because we've got two conflicting stories here. We've got and throughout where we're at in Arnold's existence, we either have Arnold killed himself,
but how does this
or a host killed Arnold, or a host killed Arnold.
Well, we don't know any of that.
No, but there have been allusions to one or the other.
He makes mention. Dolores tells William, "I'm hearing a voice in my head, and it's going to tell me where to go." Right? Okay. And then you have the conjuncture previously that the voices that are in their heads lead to religion, lead to this, lead to that.
Yeah, only with the natives who are kind of left alone on their own because
I don't think that's anybody's subconscious.
I think the natives have built a religion around it because so few guests venture outside the town, so their level of resets is less. The level of complete resets is less, so they have these memories where it's like, oh, it's midnight, let's reset all the natives. And then they just do this blanket reset because so few guests go out to interact with the natives.
But she was supposed to help with the mission of Arnold's. That's why I'm thinking it's not Arnold's consciousness that's in her. It's a voice. She's hearing this voice because it was a prime directive, if you will, that she was given.
I think that
to help destroy the park, set everybody free.
I think that's, like you've been saying about this entire show, I think it's a slow burn. I think that Arnold implemented a slow burn.
Yes. Well, yeah, clearly he's the architect.
I think
in every sense of the word.
That he dumped his consciousness into her subprogramming, and it filters out every time she's reset. And every time she's reset, she gets a little bit more of it. She gets a little bit more of it. And we're reaching the peak of it. Go ahead. You had something to say.
Oh, no, I was just saying, I was thinking back on that, on just fragments throughout the episode, and I had noted down that Dolores hears the voice in her head. I think it might be Arnold.
Find me, right?
But, that says, find me, and she says, show me how. Well, then later on in the episode, she gets shown
flashes.
That's after they go to the she's down in the basement with the vision of herself, and she's shown the maze on the card.
Ah, okay, yeah.
So at the beginning you hear
where she walks into
where she says, "Show me how," and then a vision of herself shows her.
Well, she's not in the basement; she's on the second floor. And she goes in to see the gypsy.
Yeah, goes in to see the gypsy.
And the gypsy starts to roll off the cards. And then she sees herself in the gypsy seat.
Yep.
And then when she stands up, the gypsy's not there.
What's she wearing?
She was wearing the pants. But
the vision.
The girl in the gypsy seat, the girl that the version of her that the gypsy turned into was still wearing the blue dress.
Right. Is that another version of herself that was there and she's been there multiple times?
Well, that's like the parade. Does the parade represent her being there before? Or does the parade her appearance in the parade represent the duality of her existence?
It could, but she's also being one of the Gen 1s. She's been everywhere, and once she starts to mentally break down, she could wind up anywhere.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure she's had.
Yeah. But I mean, like in episode 2 or 3,
everywhere.
Literally, I think it was episode 2 because I'm pretty sure it was one of the podcasts that I wasn't on. She has this flashback where she's standing in the compound, and there are bodies strewn everywhere.
I would have to go back and check. I don't remember that. I've seen.
But I mean, it was like
in a dusty town,
like Resident Evil type stuff, where she's standing in a modern facility, and there are bodies everywhere. Where suddenly her gun affects human beings and not just hosts.
See, my first and last note that I have here is she is all over the time spectrum.
Yeah, well, she's been
mentally.
She's like
30
number
years.
one, man. She's been there 34 years, at least 34 years, some
But
odd
see,
days and 7 hours.
They were used in other stories. They haven't always been used in Westworld. That's the thing.
Another thing is this episode, like the last two, have had that very big hero and villain arc.
Well, yeah,
And I really think that is between the hosts and their creators. Who's the hero and who's the villain?
Well, see,
Because they're manipulating the situation, and like I said in the previous one, when we're comparing, physically interacting with a guest versus physically interacting with some hooker in GTA 5.
Thank you for the segue, hooker. The way it ends, right? With Maeve,
He got you on the
sitting
hook.
there,
Oh, you mean
sitting there with the bird,
yeah?
flutters up onto her finger.
You're thinking Snow White, aren't you?
No, that would be classic. She is trying to control her own destiny by getting herself killed because the Asian dude, I can't remember his name right now.
Oh man, it was like Daniel or something, wasn't
Something
it?
like that, yeah. Rats. Anyways.
No, it wasn't Daniel. Daniel's the guy who was making out with the other robot, because that's what Elsie said.
He keeps tripping because he's like, it's her again? Why do I keep seeing her? It's because she is forcibly getting
She's
killed.
finding ways, yeah.
She's
like,
getting killed because she wants to go there and say, hey, God, let's have a little chat. And she does. She uses his name. What was his freaking name? Now it's bothering me. Felix,
yeah.
Felix.
Now,
let's have a little chat, Felix. Like Snow White with the bird on her finger.
Yeah. Now, I've actually got a couple of notes for that. First off, there was that embryo comment, that personality test.
Yeah, we got that.
So, are the texts created and on a loop? Because dude started to get freaked out when he saw her again.
Don't know.
Now,
I say no, but yeah.
With the bird, we had this discussion on episode 3 with the rattlesnake or something. Flies. And I didn't believe the flies were created.
Yeah.
With his interactions with the birds and all that, I'm thinking that maybe the flies are robots.
Do you?
Yeah.
Maybe there's got to be one with a tiny little Jeff Goldblum head on it.
Yeah, there should be. There definitely should be. Or at least there should be an arm wrestling moment where the wrist breaks and blood goes flying everywhere.
Oh, good.
Okay. But no, I mean, like we had this discussion. And I was like, the flies, and pestilence, and the references to pestilence in the first 3 episodes,
which has pretty much disappeared from everything though. Because when we find
4 and 5,
he didn't have
very
any
little flies. Yeah. 4 and 5, and that idea of pestilence, and there are no biblical references that I caught in 4 and 5.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
They're shifting gears.
Well, there is Sodom and Gomorrah, and by the way, speaking of Sodom and Gomorrah, I thought it was absolutely wonderful to have the orgy scene.
We're kid friendly.
The end. He trailed off.
The orgy scene being played out with 9 Inch Nails, something I can never have.
Ah, yes.
That was beautiful, I thought.
No, that was a good touch.
Also, the maze on the coffin.
Oh, being used as the marking?
Yeah, when they catch up to
Alonzo.
And he's standing there, and the coffins all have the maze burnt into them.
Yep, I saw that.
But yeah,
I
think
think
we're about. Shoot.
One more note.
Gotta be in there.
You have one more note? Is this your closing thought?
Yeah.
All right.
This show, every single episode, has been full of some different or continuously underlying version of philosophical thought.
He's talking about 2 lazy guys.
No. You guys are lazy.
It's a
I thought our guest was paying us a compliment, Dave.
But the whole every episode, like you had Occam's Razor, and you had I don't remember what it was in episode 3, and you have the hero and villain complex in these last 2 episodes, where you've got who is the hero and who's the villain, who
the
is
definition changes.
Yeah, and I think it really beautifully examines the human condition, and as I mentioned in episode 3, it parallels to me Penny Dreadful, where you identify with those things that you're socially opposed to.
Mm-hmm. Morally.
Not morally, socially.
Mm-hmm.
Like Penny Dreadful. One of my favorite characters in Penny Dreadful was Frankenstein's creature.
Mm.
And in the book of Frankenstein and the movies of Frankenstein, you are meant to slightly pity it, but mostly hate Frankenstein's creature because it's a destructive thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this show and like Frankenstein's creature make you kind of see what caused that to become an abomination.
Oh, okay.
And the causes are completely human.
Mm-hmm.
These are things these are creatures, these are creations that we have created and assumed are not relevant to our own existence.
Because it's our mistakes that make us human.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And again, episodes 1, 2, and 3
mm-hmm.
focus on mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
allow me my mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah, and this whole show so far is all about mistakes and owning them and appreciating what they are and
mm-hmm.
trying not to duplicate the mistakes that are most dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Those are my final thoughts. Continue, gentlemen.
Cool.
Trying not to think as a lazy dude, but dang.
Yes, you like for me.
I throw you guys way off, don't I? Because I don't think like a lazy dude.
I was going, there was a news star in the episode, and it was mammary glands. There was just a very large amount of them in this episode, way more than there had been previously.
Wait,
I was questioning that whole Eyes Wide Shut scene.
Mm-hmm,
like, what was the point of that?
Well, it was the Confederales. He was trying to dupe them into partying, getting drunk.
Well, I said that while we were watching
horrors.
I was like, this is a double cross.
Well, no, but still, like, what was the purpose of that place?
His idea, and he said it earlier, was Sodom and Gomorrah. It was the edge.
But see, Black Hat was the one that embraced that. He said, I could get used to this.
Yeah.
But it was the edge. Because the furthest reaches of the park.
Yeah, and it spoke to his character very, very much. It's like, this is where I belong. He was in his element.
But from, I'm just saying, from a corporate standpoint, you're like, well, where are we going to put, the giant S&M parlor? We got to shoehorn it in somewhere. Well, because there's no other area in the park like that. The drifts into other,
Well, they mentioned it before they ever go into the town. It's like, this is absolutely a town of sin.
Yeah.
Do you really go there?
Here we go.
Well, the character we want to talk to is over there. We're over here. Let's walk through the town where people are
through the town.
doing weird things in a coach.
Yeah,
with the door open.
I would have liked to have had that, one of those butcher's uniforms before heading in. Just a giant hazmat suit before I head into that.
Did I mention that?
No kidding.
Did I mention the color schemes?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Red and white.
Thank you. Not just red and white. Just
you went on about your cochina dolls.
Also, that I think maybe at this point, I'm also entertaining the fact that Arnold is in fact like a 70-year-old man in a cabin with like a ham radio, like a Wi-Fi router just broadcasting on like a rogue radio station.
Well, like I said, there was that interview. It was like, when was the last time you talked to that Arnold? 3 or 4 years ago.
He got really forceful with it.
Yeah, he was like, "Are you sure that was? Is Arnold still alive? Are we missing something here?" Because it really kind of hinted at the fact that Arnold's still alive, and that Ford is concerned that Arnold's influencing the programming.
Well, because Arnold could turn up as because you haven't seen the crazy prospector character. Every old western town has the old prospector.
Howdy!
Biscuits and gravy.
That was the guy with the eye patch who wanted to find a treasure.
No, he just had an eye patch, and he was.
Let's go find a treasure.
He didn't have the wide brim hat with the bill that's been up at the front, and like 2 pots hanging off.
By the way, those of you who are not in the studio at the moment, Dave is wearing a ball cap and just completely turned it up to look like a little prospector. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Yes, many hats in this room.
So, that's right, man.
Yeah.
Well, no. So yeah, I think that about does it for this episode. I think we went past our 60 minutes that we usually strive for.
See if you can find the 47 minutes that we had to trim out for the radio edit.
Yeah, sure, we can do that.
Bollocks.
So speaking of radio, if this does go on to Sci-Fi for me, as being a hosted thing, you should really look into subscribing to it, because not only will you be able to find this podcast there, but there's other fine, wonderful shows that you'll come across and be able to enjoy. In your, they're all there for your listening pleasure. Mm-hmm. But what was the one thing that I definitely wanted to plug? It was that we Twitch the gameplay that we started talking about.
Oh yeah, I got that.
On sci-fi4me.com, if you go there, you'll be able to find us doing Twitch streams.
Mm-hmm. These jerks are going to make me buy a PlayStation 4 in a pawn shop while I'm here.
Lauren does it. I do it. So does Head Neophyte. So yeah, look for us there. I don't think I have any other plugs to get in other than, this has been our show for the evening. So, Sam?
Thank you for listening.
Dave?
Yep, I'm Dave, and I'll catch you next time.
Yeah, and, I always like to leave you with the thought, have fun. No matter what you're doing, have fun. So,
thank you,
have
Lauren
a good
Garrison.
Day. Yes, on behalf of Lauren,
us.
Hopefully she is halfway toward her flawless run right now.
Flawless victory.
Flawless.
We pray for the flawless run.
But have a good night, be safe, and have fun.